After a lifetime of sugar addiction, I still crave this one food on Carnivore, and it's not what you think. Hey, with Shake and Bacon, I hope you're doing well. My name is Bruno Panucci. So I still have cravings for certain foods on Carnivore, and they're not with me all the time. They're only with me with this one food when it's in front of me. Now, before I get into it, I'm trying something new with my videos. I'm making them a little shorter so that it's easier for my audience to be able to watch them. But also, I'm not putting ads in the middle of my videos. So what I'd like you to do in return, since that affects me, is if you could like, comment, or subscribe on my videos, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out. Anyway, back to the topic. I've lost over 150 pounds doing a zero-carb carnivore diet. And through that time, my sugar cravings have gone away. They're virtually non-existent. When I say virtually, I mean like 99%. That 1% that's still there isn't for the foods that I always craved, like sugary foods. I had a bad addiction when it came to sugar. And it was usually in the way of ice cream or candy or foods like that aren't real foods. They're really just different forms of pure sugar. And the other things were pizzas and different types of breads and potatoes. I didn't really crave fruit. I was never really a big fruit guy, but I liked vegetables. So every now and then when I have this craving for this food, it's Caesar salad, not just regular salad, it's Caesar salad. Now, the thing that's amazing about that is I don't crave it. I don't lie in bed at night or at any point through the day think, oh, Caesar salad. Oh, I miss Caesar salad. I wish I could have that right now. That's not what I deal with at all. I have to admit, when I'm at my parents' and I could be bulletproof in front of any food that's in front of me, they don't tempt me at all. Even homemade pizza, pasta, you name it, they don't get to me at all. But even when dessert comes out, some of it, I admit, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's beautiful. It looks good, but I have no desire to eat it. That Caesar salad, when it's in front of me, the dressing smells so nice. And I'm surprised that if there's anything I would want, it would be that Caesar salad. It has a wonderful aroma, but vegetables don't have that aroma on their own. Sometimes maybe when they're cooked, they can smell nice, but raw vegetables don't really have that kind of aroma. It's the dressing. And what's in the dressing? Anchovies. It's like the secret ingredient in Caesar salad dressing. I think you can actually make a carnivore salad dressing for Caesar salad. I'm pretty sure it's out there. I don't know if people still use seed oils in that dressing or not. Mayonnaise is usually, I think, a big component of it. So it's weird to me that I crave that, something I never craved before I have anything else in front of me that is something that my sugar addiction would just fuel and feed, and I would have intense cravings for. Now, keep in mind, my craving for this salad is a 1, maybe a 2 out of 10. I look at it and go, well, I'd really enjoy it, but there's still something there, and it's really weird. Why is that? Well, I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and maybe it's because lots of times when I was zero carb, but still not carnivore, I could have lots of salad. And the thing with salad is if you're using a good dressing with it, there's zero carbs. And so you can still stick to a zero carb way of eating. And there's lots of people who do keto or carnivore where they still have zero carb foods in there, but like aspartame, for example, with Diet Coke or different foods and beverages like that, where it's still technically zero carb and they haven't fully converted over to carnivore. And if you can do that, then keep it up if that's something you're satisfied with and all your health problems are in check. And once you need to go a little further, then you can start cutting back on those things one at a time. But if you're getting by doing that, then go for it. Why not? Who am I to judge? But the thing is, it's zero carb. So technically I look at that and I think, well, it's zero carb, so maybe I could have that. But we all know the problem with salad is in the dressing typically. But I know this dressing that my family makes and it's not really an unhealthy dressing. So I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I could technically have that if I was zero carb, but I'm not just zero carb. I'm carnivore. So it's meat only. And now some people out there might be thinking, so what? Just have it. It's zero carb. Why do you have to be dogmatic? Well, when you have a carb or sugar addiction of any kind, you can't compromise. You can't talk yourself into having something that is off your way of eating because it's a slippery slope. What do I mean by that? Well, let's see. If I make a small excuse for this and I have this, it can eventually become habitual easily. And then that could start opening up other foods that are still technically zero carb, but it opens up my diet and I'm no longer carnivore, I'm zero carb. And that's fine if that's something I wanted to do. But I've learned from the past, from doing this on and off, when I'm zero carb, it's a slippery slope and I'll start having other foods. You have to have the addiction to understand the mentality behind abstinence. You can't make compromises with little things. It's like saying, you quit smoking, but it's okay to have a cigar every now and then. Or, you quit smoking, but you're still having nicotine in the patch. If that's something you need to do in the process of quitting smoking, that's understandable. But if you're just substituting your addiction with a different addiction, that's not really helping much, especially if that can lead you back to your addiction. So for some people, just putting something towards their mouth and away from their mouth is close enough to smoking, keeping that habit, that oral fixation alive. They can't even fool around with things like that. So they have to watch it when they have pens and pencils in their hands. Sometimes it's a crutch and it helps them maintain their level of abstinence. And other times it can be a trigger for other people. So something like a Caesar salad for me is a gateway. It sounds really weird, but it's a gateway to something more strong. And it might take weeks, it might take months. And then eventually I'll start incorporating more and more things in the diet. I know because I've been there through the years. When I was originally zero carb, I had tons of salad a day, and it also brought certain health problems. I had ridiculous constipation. I had a salad every single day, a family size salad, not once, but often twice a day. And when I say family size, I mean one of those store-bought containers that would feed easily a family of 4 to 6. I would have that in a meal at lunch and at dinner. And sometimes I would put ground beef on it or ground turkey, and I would spread it around. And so I would eat that because I was allowed to have those foods. And what happened was eventually I started introducing more vegetables into my diet to the point where it started getting out of control. When you have an addiction to carbohydrates, you can't compromise. And it's like an alcoholic saying, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm not a good person when I drink. I can't control it. One drink turns into a 2-week bender, or one drink turns into a dozen drinks, and then I'm hammered for the night, and then I've really slid off the wagon. But that only is with hard alcohol. I'm still gonna have beer. You don't hear about many alcoholics that can do that. Now, I do know some people that can have just beer, and if they have hard liquors, they become a beast and they're not happy with the way they act. So they typically don't have that stuff if they're going to social situations, because they'll get really mouthy and start fights. So they limit themselves to the beer. I cut out all sorts of sweet tasting things, but I still had foods very low on the glycemic index that were some fruits and vegetables. It still allowed me to go down that path of the slippery slope. So the thing is, everyone has some trigger, and some things are a surprise, because I was horribly addicted to pizza and ice cream. Those were my 2 worst things. I can sit in front of those and they don't tempt me. Even if they look really good or smell really good, it's not an issue for me. But Caesar salad, I think it's because I can register the fact that it's zero carb, and the dressing that's on that particular salad isn't actually bad for me, but it's still something that I can't risk doing. So it's interesting when you're living with other people, and in this case, it's when I go to my parents' house for dinner, it's more of an uphill battle for those people because they're around these temptations a lot. Everyone else in the house isn't eating the way you're eating, and you're kind of stuck looking at that, or sometimes even preparing it. And it can be a little more difficult, especially if you have to taste test your food. Typically what some people will do is have their spouse taste test, or someone else in the family taste test the food to make sure it tastes right. So let me know in the comments if you have any foods that still kind of get to you. And sometimes you can give in to these foods, sometimes you still just stay away from them. I still have a ways to go in my health journey, but I know that's a path I've taken before many times, and it just doesn't work out for me in the end. So this is why I am where I am, and it's working pretty well. I have a weight stall right now, but that's really the worst of it. Most of my health conditions are in remission. Anyway, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you watching this video. Take care.